Companies don't really want you to actually own anything. I'm gonna tell you why and what you can do about it. What do you like? Come on, name anything. Video games, movies, television, all gone. Yeah, almost all digital media you buy, you don't actually own. You basically just sign this thing called a license agreement by buying it, which basically means they can just say, hey, you can use this, but if you ever change your minds, we can just take it from you. Which wasn't that worrying, because most of the time, if you broke the rules regarding to the product you purchased, for example, hacking in a video game, you wouldn't lose access to the game entirely, since you did just pay for it all. But you just lose access to playing with other people online, which was perfectly fair. You might be thinking, well, hey, that doesn't sound that bad, and you'd be right. It's a fair punishment for modifying a game the way you weren't allowed to. But then, why are you making a big deal out of this, you're probably asking? Well, in recent years, companies keep trying to push the boundaries further and further. It went from revoking people's access to something for breaking rules that they both agreed to, regardless of if anyone read them or not. And one of the more egregious examples of that in recent years, and by recent, I mean some fresh news, is a little company that just in a few months, my opinion on them has gotten so much worse, if it wasn't bad already, Nintendo! Now, before Nintendo's free PR team, million strong, come after me, I'm not saying Nintendo is the only greedy company in the gaming industry. I mean, look around at what kind of industry this is. But their greed reaches such levels, I just can't ignore it anymore. I plan to make a whole video on Nintendo's greed at some point, but on the topic I brought up, I want to expand how licenses work. Before we get into any of that, Nintendo has now updated their user agreement, which includes something absolutely baffling. In Article 2, it says, and I quote, "Without limitation, you agree that you may not A. Publish, copy, modify, reverse engineer, lease, rent, decompile, disassemble, distribute, offer for sale, or create derivative works of any portion of the Nintendo account services." The part that's baffling is that if you modify your Switch console or fail to comply with any restrictions Nintendo's placed, they will render your account and or the entire device, and I quote, "permanently unusable in whole or in part." Now, don't get me wrong, blocking people who modify their system from online is a very normal practice in the gaming industry, and a healthy one for certain cases like preventing hackers from accessing user data and making gameplay worse for players.
Someone's a little cheater McPeter eater. Yeah, someone's a little cheater McPeter eater.
But breaking the whole system? This is like if you put an illegal part in your car, and instead of just making you change it or charging you a fine, the cops just blow that shit up. It doesn't matter how abysmal the price you paid for the thing, it just doesn't work anymore because you installed a mod for Smash Bros. That puts Master Chief in the game.
Did you put a fucking mod in this?
No.
Hell, Nintendo straight tells you in Section 8 of their user agreement that by purchasing a digital copy for the game, you are not buying the game. You actually buy, meaning you, other than this limited license, and in their own words, you have no right or title to digital items. And another thing Nintendo's adding is Switch 2 game key cards. Now, what these key cards are is basically for some games, when you buy a physical copy to the game, which should be avoiding that stupid limited license thing, you don't have a choice with these titles anymore. Essentially, a game key card is just a permission slip. It doesn't contain any of the game's data on the card. Instead, you insert this unnecessary piece of e-waste into your console, and it'll download the full game to your system. Sounds good, right? Well, it's not good. The whole reason they want people to think they're doing this is so because, you know, your cartridge can't hold such big games like Cyberpunk. So upgrade your cartridges! It's not that difficult. And if you're probably wondering, hey, this is stupid. If I'm not getting the data on the cartridge and it's getting downloaded to the system, then what's even the point in buying one? And if you're asking that, congratulations, you're officially smarter than Nintendo. You're the CEO now, you're the smartest one in the building. Nintendo were so stupid, in fact, they made it so you need the physical key card to play the game that is not on the key card but on your system. So it has all the negatives of a digital copy and loses all the convenience of a physical one. And it only costs Nintendo more money to produce than their old equivalent, which is just a slip of paper with the game code on it. And don't worry, stupidity and corporate greed does not stop at Nintendo. You know, the gaming industry was definitely one of the industries that perfected scamming their customers by charging for things the hardware can already do. So much so, other industries caught on. Even cars in recent years have been charging you to use features the car can already do. But a business model cars have already perfected is the pay now, buy later mindset with leasing and financing. Except with leasing, you don't actually get the car when you're done, they just take it and leave. But now they're charging for features the car can already do. You know Tesla? Well, Tesla charges you a monthly fee of $100 to use a self-driving feature. Like the only reason anyone buys a Tesla, other than the fact it used to have a custom horn, which they got rid of. It's a feature already programmed into the car that you need a monthly fee to access. Now here are some more absurd cases of this. Mercedes-Benz slows down their electric cars and charges you $90 a month to drive it at its full power. Tesla charges you a monthly fee for heated rear seats. BMW had charged people $80 a year to access Apple CarPlay and only stopped after being bullied into taking it off. Nintendo for some time was the only console company without an online subscription before taking that away in 2018 with Switch Online. And recently, they added voice chat, a basic feature that's been around 6 years before I was born, and a lot of people watching this video probably were born after it too. And if you press that button, it pulls up an ad for Switch Online. If you're not paying the monthly fee, you have an ad button on your control. Imagine you're playing Smash Bros with all your friends, and one of your homies, he tries to spike you off the stage and accidentally pauses the game because you just open up the ad button. Something I just realized while recording this is, guess what? The key cards need to be verified by the internet. When they shut down the Switch Online services, those games just won't work anymore. And on the topic of doing stupid things with their hardware, Apple pairs their parts to the specific phone's motherboard. So buying third-party parts or even just buying an official Apple part you took out of another iPhone can either just not work or disable features like Face ID and give users an incentive to not get their phone repaired at a third-party repair shop for an actual reasonable price and going to the Apple Store getting it repaired at the Genius Center for more than the cost of just buying a new phone in an attempt to boost sales by creating defective hardware as well as trying to monopolize the act of repairing an iPhone. Apple has also been caught for fighting against the right to repair several times and being exposed for lobbying lawmakers in 2021 to weaken the bill, with it eventually passing in 2022 in a severely weakened state due to Apple. And the reason it took so long to get this bill out in the first place is because they also tried the same thing back in 2017 when they tried to have the right to repair, but Apple came in and had such stupid claims like, oh, if the technician isn't us, they might they might blow it up, yeah? Sounds good enough to me. They also would send cease and desist to repair shops for using non-official Apple parts despite them working and functioning completely fine. They also solder all the components of MacBooks together to make them way harder for your average Joe to fix and making them almost impossible to upgrade, forcing you to just toss that entire couple $1,000 MacBook in the trash and just buying a new one straight from Apple, as well as gluing parts together instead of screwing them so users won't open things up to repair them themselves. And in a massive PR move that doesn't really accomplish anything, they launched a self-repair program, which is basically just a way for them to profit off repair shops they don't own and regular people who know how to fix things by forcing them to rent an £80 toolkit, install their part pairing software, and buy parts from a dedicated site that charges more than other places do. They removed the headphone jack right in time for the AirPods release, stopped including earbuds with the phone and raised the price, stopped including chargers with the phone, yet raised the price and claimed it was all for the environment, despite sending thousands of working devices to be destroyed, shredded to bits, instead of simply refurbishing them and selling them back to their customers that love them so much. They made their AirPod batteries non-removable, meaning once they die, the whole device is broken, forcing you to fork over another $200 at a minimum for new ones, constantly changing small design differences to make the old ones that work just fine look out of date so they can force their companies through societal pressure to buy new ones, turning them into e-waste because no one gets them repaired because Apple doesn't let them repair them for a reasonable price. And like I mentioned with the soldered together computers, if a chip breaks, your whole $2,000 to $4,000 computer is broken. Congrats. And suing companies for using worked iPhones. They're working. Worked? What do you mean worked? Working iPhones is what I'm saying. They're working, they're perfect condition, and they sue them for selling them. They also limit what you can and can't install on your iPhone, forcing you to get apps through their app store since, you know what? Weird coincidence. They get a 30% cut of all purchases through their Apple iStore when every single other phone company lets you download whatever you want. They also cultivated an entire culture around owning anything but an iPhone, meaning if you own anything that's not an iPhone, you're broke. You just can't afford it. It's gone to the point where having green text is seen as a red flag for some people. A lot of their data and emails are locked to Apple products in their ecosystem, which puts pressure on people and companies to continue using iPhones, locking them in an unhappy marriage because they don't want to lose access to their company's documents. Companies do scummy practices like this all the time. And with services like Klarna and Affirm, these kind of business practices that prey on people's ignorance exist everywhere and with everything. Using these services, you can break up a big payment into smaller monthly payments, costing what in the end is a little more than what you'd pay if you just bought it up front. Now, things like this have always existed for a really long time, and usually exist with bigger purchases like buying a house with a mortgage or financing a car. And this is how most people buy these big expensive things, because big surprise, most of us don't just have thousands of dollars laying around waiting to be spent. You know, it made sense. Financing big purchases made it so people could get the items they need without waiting several months that it may take for them to save up for it, or even just allowing people to pay for things that they wouldn't be able to afford otherwise. But now with these services like Klarna, you can finance literally anything. You could finance a damn sandwich for $2 a month for 3 months. And while this doesn't seem that bad up front, I think people forget they charge interest and late fees. If you finance a PS5 and you're a little late on the payment, you get charged extra. And even worse, if something in your life happens or you just can't afford to pay your monthly fee for a sandwich you bought 3 months ago, that monthly charge, that money that you owe, it grows due to interest. Now you got to pay $1,000 for a PS5 you could have got for $500. And if you don't, debt collectors are going to come to your house and take your PS5 and your money. You don't get anything out of it except you're now $1,000 in debt. And it doesn't stop there, because your credit score can get ruined, hurting your ability to get something as simple as an internet plan, a car, or a roof over your head. Companies only want to make as much money as possible, no matter what, even if that means making their product worse or taking away services that benefit customers. Another industry we've seen this spread to is TV and film. You guys remember the days when if you and your family wanted to watch a movie without going to the theater, it was a very simple and easy experience. When I was a kid, I remember whenever we wanted to watch a movie, we either use our hard drive of movies we obtained through perfectly legal means, or we'd go to the library and borrow a DVD or a cassette. And sometimes we'd see our favorite movies getting reruns on TV and we'd record them and watch them later. But since the release and the massive success of Netflix offering an insane amount of value for such a small price, suddenly their catalog only got worse as companies were pulling shows from Netflix to add to their own service. Nowadays, you have to go through like 6 different streaming services, all with their own price tags in between $12 and $20 a month, just to watch all the things you enjoy legally. There's a reason why people push for physical media so hard. It's not because they're just paranoid, nostalgic losers who can't accept the fact digital media is the norm. It's because companies are literally taking away the things we pay for and either selling it back to us for a much higher price or simply leaving it to become lost media. I don't want to shame anyone for buying and using digital media. I do it, you do it, we all do it because it's easy, it's convenient, and it's better for the environment. As much as I talk about the importance of physical media, I own a digitally only console, alright? What? Digital only PS5. I mean, I did buy it with the intention of adding a disc drive, but I never really got around to doing that. But I bought it because it was cheaper, and let's be honest, digital media, it's more convenient. It's easier not to have to swap discs out when you want to play just different games without having to get up and walk across the room or watch something that you like without having to go out and buy a DVD. I get that. I pay for Shonen Jump on my phone because it's $4 a month. I could download whatever manga I want, which feels like an unlimited catalog, and I get releases of my favorite manga at the exact same time they drop in Japan. And it's just convenient. But I buy mangas from the creators and series I love because they look nice. I still like reading the physical book. I don't know, manga just looks a lot better on paper than it does on my little phone screen. But even with games, I see why a lot of people find it hypocritical when people who own big PCs talk about console players shouldn't buy games digitally, yet they don't install drift drives on their computer and treat Steam like the second coming of Christ. But the thing is, no one who speaks on the importance of physical media is saying digital media doesn't have a place. It 100% does, and even the thing with Steam players, a lot of the time they don't have a choice. Because Steam has a giant grip on the market. It's almost a monopoly if it wasn't for stuff like the Epic Game Store. Before the keyboard warriors come after me, I just want to let you know I don't think Epic Game Store is better than Steam. I'm just saying, no matter what, competition is healthy. No one should have that big of a grip on the market, regardless of if they're a good company or not. Whether it's about being able to keep, fix, modify, or enjoy how we please, we should be able to own what we buy and have full autonomy on our own property. So what can we even do? A big way to join the push for physical media and ownership. A big way to join the push for physical media and ownership, big surprise, buying physical media, things that legally can't be taken away. Even if you don't see yourself using the physical media instead of the digital version, it's a great way to support physical media and ownership, especially when it comes to things like music and books. It gives the creator an actual bigger cut of the revenue from the art they create. It's also just a cool novelty to collect and display in your room. Having physical media is a good way to ensure that something can't just be remotely taken away from you at a moment's notice, ensuring that you own the things you own. But there is another way, and for legal reasons, it's not something I condone, but piracy. Piracy is starting to, in theory, okay, don't shadow block this YouTube, makes more and more sense. Piracy, by definition, is not stealing. The definition of stealing is the action or offense of taking another person's property without permission or legal right, and without intending to return it. Theft. In downloading a pirated copy of something, yeah, you don't have the legal right to own it. I guess that makes sense, but you technically aren't stealing anything. The original copy still exists and isn't affected. You're simply making an exact copy of it. You are only taking away potential profit from the sellers, which there's a good chance you might not have bought it anyways if you're pirating it. People have more reasons for pirating things than just, I don't want to pay for GTA 5 the third time, which I mean, that is reasonable. It's been, 3 generations now this game's been on. But a big reason is every day more and more of the things we love become lost media. Without proper documentation, games, songs, shows, and almost anything can become lost to time. Shows people grew up with and have episodes that they can never see again due to not being popular enough to get reruns or physical releases. Games tons of people grew up on, they just can't buy legally anymore, resorting to secondhand markets or pirating it. And games where most of it is only playable online, so after the servers shut down, the game becomes a shell of its former self, either little content or not playable at all. All these things can be solved through piracy, and although I know some people just pirate games because they don't want to pay for it, a lot of people just don't have the money to do so. In the words of popular indie game creator, I hope I'm not pronouncing this wrong, RC Patala, you should support indies when you can, but culture shouldn't exist only for those who can afford it. Ultra Kill wouldn't exist if I didn't have easy access to movies, music, and games growing up. If you don't have the money, you can support via word of mouth. And the final way you can vote is with your wallet. Not to buy from these companies when and where you can. I've recorded this twice already, but the first one I was slouched so it looked like I didn't have a neck. I have a neck, look, it's right here. But the second time I recorded this, bro, the camera was facing the wrong way the entire thing. Oh yeah, the reason I recorded this is because I see like another way you can avoid paying to these big companies you don't like is building your own computer, which is what I'm doing right now. Well, not right now because I don't have the money for it, but I'm saving up to build a computer, but it's going to be expensive and it's going to take a while to get it out. So when that when that computer is built, I can make a lot more videos a lot faster, and I can make a lot more big, fun videos that I really want to do, but I don't really have the power to make them. I mean, I'm working on an Optiplex right now, but 7040, in case you're a nerd, you want to know, I'm a nerd too, it doesn't matter. But it's sorry it took so long to get this video out. Like it's just life, it happens. I had school come in with exams, and after exams, around the time of exams, I had a passing in the family, so I was kind of gone for a bit. But I am happy you guys I'm kind of happy you guys still stuck around, the ones that did. And if you didn't, I get it. I was gone for over a month. Like I wouldn't blame you for leaving. If you're new to my channel and you look at my old stuff and you're like, why does this guy only make anime content? I promise I don't. That's just what I was making. I was making a lot more like movies and anime or video or whatever. But I'm gonna kind of not be switching fully. I'm gonna be doing like half and half. I'm making some video essays on like random stuff. I wouldn't call them video essays. I'm not like super serious in them, but I do. My takes are serious, but my delivery is always like, I try to throw in a bit of humor in there. It's not too serious. So I want to be like a little casual, but I'm gonna be doing like kind of half and half. And if you find that annoying, you're like, hey, I like your new stuff, but I don't really watch the shows you talk about, I might just like, I might separate into 2 channels, but at the same time, I wouldn't want to lose the audience I have here. So like, if you guys want 2 channels, let me know in the comments, because that's something I'd like to know. If you guys want me to separate it, just like, hey, if you just care about this kind of content, you can just subscribe to this one, and if you just care about that kind of content, you can subscribe to that one. But yeah, regardless of any of that, I'm happy you guys did stick around. And again, the support I've seen recently is so big. Like I've wanted to do YouTube for so long, like since I was like 8 years old. So like the fact I do have an audience, even if it is small, I'm really happy about that. And I'm gonna keep grinding. I'm gonna keep working on this. I'm gonna keep getting you the content that I feel like you deserve. I'm never gonna upload anything if I feel like it's slop. I'm just gonna tell you that. If I feel like it's slop in any form, like I feel like, hey, I'm not offering anything of value here, or my opinion doesn't mean a whole lot here, I'm not gonna upload it. Like I just don't want you guys just watching a bunch of garbage. I'm never gonna make AI slop content or anything like that, because I want this place to be somewhere people can come to find like genuine content, even if it is kind of sucky. I'm happy you guys did come here, and that's what you guys watch me for, whatever it is you watch me for. But I appreciate it. But like the video if you liked it, dislike if you didn't like it. And regardless, it helps, so thank you. But yeah, bye.
I'm arming it. Oh my god, no, wait, no. Oh, he's gonna die.
If you put a buck in my cup, I will shut the fuck up. But you ain't gotta be a baller to give me a motherfucking dollar.